Hello YouTube world, today I'll be talking about cloning. So what is cloning? Cloning is a term to replicate or to make an identical copy of an entity or an object. So now let's talk about animal cloning. Well, the first animal we have cloned is actually a sheep named Dolly. I think it was during the 2000s or the 1990s, I believe. And the way they clone is that they take like a mother sheep's egg, like a donor's egg, and then they remove the nucleus. Afterwards, they grab some parts of the cells of a different sheep, right? And then they try fusing it together with electricity. After it's been fused with electricity, the cell starts to become an embryo. And then after the embryo is created a little bit, we implant those embryos inside the mother sheep. And after a while, the baby starts developing inside the stomach, and thus came out a clone of a different sheep that we use for cloning. So the mother sheep is just sort of a womb, and the cloned sheep is sort of like a baby that's been cloned and then developed inside the mother's womb. So what came out is Dolly, which is kind of cool. However, it died out. It died for some normal diseases. Afterwards, we begin to develop our technology, thus further increasing our likelihood of cloning animals, different species, and we normalized it today. And these species can be dogs, cows, cats, and many more, I believe. And a lot of companies that clone animals are, especially not in America or in Europe, but mostly in China, I believe, where you just send like a piece of a DNA of your animal, then they just start cloning it, and then you return it. I mean, you just pick those animals up in the in a company, and then you pay a lot of money just to clone your dog, for example, which is kind of pricey, and I would not recommend if you're not rich. If you're not that rich, though, I would not recommend you to clone if you're not that rich. But if you're rich and you have a lot of money, oh well, what the heck, just try it. Might be good. But don't expect to be the same as your normal pet, though, because a clone does not have the same personality of a uh, of a dog that's the original dog. Now, let's say humans. Have we cloned humans? Yes, but not real babies though. We just clone human cells instead that can help us fight diseases, for example, like diabetes type 2, for example. And we just clone these types of cells for for uh, for health purposes, but never have we tried cloning babies yet because it is unethical according to science. So let's just imagine a world where we allow cloning in our society. Let's see, we can actually get heart transplant and it's more efficient, meaning we can save a lot of people's lives. However, we sacrifice our clones for the original person who needs treatment, which is kind of scary and gruesome. Next, well, if we further do this unethical act, of cloning our human species, we can maybe, in the end, find out how to perhaps genetically build a human baby that's sort of like a Superman, maybe. And that would be kind of cool and awesome, but then again, we're not sure if it's cool. So back in reality, those are just imaginational thought. It's illegal, yes, in a lot of countries. Gene editing is very illegal, of course. So why cloning is big illegal? Well, it's risky. There's a lot of risk when you start cloning humans, and when it comes to cloning humans, it's unethical. One reason is that it's inhumane to take risk, and you would have a lot of responsibility when you start cloning humans. Second, you can get a deformed clone, which is very bad for the clone being born deformed, and if this clone is deformed, it may not live a healthy life, and it's inhumane for us to create these kind of creature, or this kind of creature where they live unhumane life of torture, of deformative. Thirdly, if we start cloning humans right now, we would have a lot of failed attempts, and these failed attempts, what do we do with these failed humans, or these humans that are a mistake? Should we take care of them? It's our fault, yes, and it's a big responsible for us to take care of them. That is why we don't want to create these kind of problems where we clone ourselves, and then we have a lot of failed clones, defected clones, and then we just perhaps throw them away, or it's not good to just born in this society of a human race, and then you don't know why you're born. I don't know, that's too much. Okay, now that you have a clone, right, example, and then this clone can also be an evil clone. I know what you guys are thinking about. Evil clone, meaning imagine if they have similar genetics with you, right? Cloning is like a replicate of a human body, right? So that would mean that they can do a lot of bad shit, and they might get away from it because you too have the same genes as this clone, and it would be difficult for the police or the FBI, for example, to locate this clone, and it won't go good for a person who is convicted wrongfully, who doesn't do these kind of acts, but the clone did it, and his life is ruined, which maybe is popularized in some novels. Now let's go next to our last, or our second last idea of why cloning is horrible, is that we can use them as weapons, just like Star Wars. I know all those Star Wars faggots right over there. Yeah, have fun with your Star Wars shit. Just don't overdo it too much. It's kind of weird. But that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion, and that's your opinion. And lastly, the most gruesome thing I could say is that if your clone doesn't know his true identity, because identity is a big word out there to the world. Boom, identity. Who am I? Where do I belong? Oh, I'm just a copy of this guy. I don't know, what should I do? Should I follow this guy? Should I be like this guy? And that's the problem with cloning. We have so many identities. And imagine if you're a clone, you start asking yourself, who I really am, where I come from, and then the answer is simply logical, and they say you're you're from a laboratory. We did experiments of cloning. We just fuse your cell with a mother cell that's removed from, and then afterwards you just boom, 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 you got a clone, and this clone doesn't know if his his parents, except for his dad or mom, just a one parent clone. It's not that bad, to be honest, but then again, cloning is still bad in my perspective. All in all, I think cloning is a tool, and when if we have a tool, it can also be a weapon, because it's a metaphor of saying, yeah, an atom bomb is a weapon. However, it can also be a tool for electricity. Then again, the question is, should we do it? Or can we do it? And all in all, the majority says we should not do it, but we can do it. It's your boy Consequence. Bye.